Are you always running to keep up? Always behind? Always stressed? Never quite have enough time? Always busy, 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 but never manage to get ahead? Well, if that's you, then you need to be less hamster. Welcome, trailblazers, to the Annoyingly Optimistic Show, the prime hub for the most resourceful entrepreneurs and business owners who thirst for a diverse mix of knowledge, stimulation, and a touch of humour. I'm your host, Paul Inskip, ready to guide you on this adrenaline-charged expedition through the realm of business. Together, we'll traverse the intriguing terrain of ideas, dissect the codes of success, and present you with the effective strategies to worry less, make more, and be brilliant. I'm all ears to your feedback, so reach out, comment, or drop me a message to share how this podcast has impacted you, sparked your inspiration, or offered a fresh viewpoint. Let's kickstart this annoyingly optimistic expedition together, and always keep in mind to worry less, make more, and be brilliant. Now, you're tired of feeling like a little furball, endlessly running in circles on the wheel of business life. Well, it's time to hop off that exhausting treadmill and break free from the cage of inefficiency. Now, let's help you transform from a stressed out, overworked hamster to a suave, time-conquering hero. So if you're ready to ditch the hamster lifestyle and embrace a new, more efficient you, well then scamper on over and let's indulge in a world of time management wisdom. Now, whenever I talk about being a hamster or being less like a hamster to a business owner, I either get a nod or a wide-eyed look in their eye of, how did you know that's what I'm like? Because it's something I hear far too often. Now, there's a time when I was caught up in that whirlwind of hamster antics myself. It was as if somehow I developed a superpower, constantly sprinting on the wheel of business. I'd wear this badge of honor, boasting with a grin, hey, I can burn the midnight oil until 2 a.m. because I'm that awesome. Now, looking back, I can't help but think some people were probably chuckling, poor thing. In all honesty, that was exactly what I was, a poor thing, in every sense of the word. Cash poor, time poor, you name it. That is the hamster lifestyle. You're always running, but never really getting anywhere. And here I was, your quintessential multitasking hamster, caught in an endless cycle, never able to hop off that infuriating wheel. The crazy part? I was in love with it. I was swept up in the illusion that being constantly busy equated to being successful. It was like a mirage that fed my inner ego. Now, picture this. The wheel suddenly comes loose, catapulting me and my metaphorical hamster wheel across my self-imposed cage. After my fourth consecutive night of clocking out at 2 a.m., a light bulb finally flickers on. Something's definitely off kilter. Every sunrise seems to bring an even larger mountain of tasks. List after list, technique after technique, each a new strategy in my desperate bid to stay afloat. But much like the tragic tale of Romeo and Juliet, you and I both know how this story ends. Now, picture me running to catch up, but never quite getting there. The wheel spinning with no end in sight. Clueless about how to hit the brakes, let alone step off, and consumed by the delusion that maybe if I just run faster, harder, longer, I'll finally get ahead. But that's just it. It's a delusion. In this business world, hamstering, unless you're running a pet store, is a surefire recipe for burnout and failure. So let's bid adieu to the ignoring rodent, shall we? Let's catapult this criticus out of our lives. Yes, that's a posh word for hamster. I didn't sneeze. Let's thrive and be less hamster and a lot more human. Now, my old office, it would have been hamster heaven, because amongst the mess of notes and lists and paperwork that seemed to be everywhere, cupboards overflowed with documents, and I desperately tried to stay on top of things. My little hamster claws, fingers gripping onto everything. A real-life hamster would have loved it. I was in every sense lived. Now, the switch didn't happen overnight, but when it did, it was profound. And it was all thanks to one book, Getting Things Done by David Allen. The effect was so monumental, it was as if it flicked a switch that transformed my entire existence. I know that sounds a bit grandiose, but hey, that's a tale for another podcast. What we're discussing here is more than just a system, though. It's an idea, a concept, but it's grounded in psychology and the understanding of how our cute little hamster brains operate. Now, honestly, I cannot do this book justice in a few minutes of a light-hearted podcast. But I will say this: grab a copy, dive in, practice its principles, and see how you can start getting things done. But before you dash off to buy your copy, let me whet your appetite with some tantalizing snippets of wisdom, insights that transformed me from a frantic, going nowhere fast hamster into a sleek, super efficient, I'm not sure I'd describe myself as sleek, dancing to my own beat ninja hamster. Let's dive in. Now, just think about all the ways to manage your time better. Work smarter, not harder. Cliche, right? But that's the essence of getting things done, or GTD for the cool kids. Now, if I were in your shoes listening to this podcast, I might be thinking, skip. But wait, hold your hamsters. Not only did getting things done change my life, but I've also seen it work its magic on countless others, helping them escape the proverbial hamster cage. So this isn't a fluke, it's a proven method to ditch the spinning wheel for good. Getting off the hamster wheel does require discipline, but don't fret. I'm about to arm you with the incredible, simple strategies. No downloads, no worksheets, nothing complicated. In true optimistic fashion, just easy steps to brighten your day and change your life. So are you ready? So let's start with a mind-blowing fact. Your brain is pretty rubbish. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but here's the thing. Your brain is not designed to be a storage system. It's a fantastic problem solver, a stellar creator, a top-notch protector, but as a storage retrieval system, utterly rubbish. Now, remember the last time your brain decided to remind you of something completely irrelevant at the worst possible moment? You're sitting down with a customer about to seal a great sale, and it reminds you that you left the spade out from gardening last weekend. It's like, why are you telling me that now? That's what we need, is an external brain, a system to store those critical things that we need to remember. Now, you might be thinking, I bet he's going to tell me to make a list, but I already do that. Well, hold your horses, because we're not quite there yet. Now, we know our brains struggle with remembering, but there are two more things that we have to bear in mind. Firstly, our cognitive brain power. Yeah, I know, getting all fancy with the big words. Now, this takes a hit when we try to remember more than 3 things at once. Yes, just 3 things. So the more we try to store and remember, the worse we perform at our tasks. And lastly, our brain knows us far too well. Scary. So have you ever written a list and felt that amazing rush of accomplishment, of achievement you could take on the world, but only to have it fade quickly away? Well, that's because your brain, in its infinite wisdom, knows you're not going to complete everything on it. In fact, it knows you're going to forget about it, maybe even ignore it. Our brain knows when we're lying to ourselves. So our brain can't remember very well. It can't carry much, and it knows we deceive ourselves. So no wonder we find ourselves on the hamster wheel. But fear not, the solution is so simple. Even a hamster could do it. So here are 3 steps to liberate you from the wheel and to take that first step to being less hamster. So the first is the 2-minute rule. Now, this is simple and yet very powerful. If a task takes you less than 2 minutes to do, just do it right now. Yeah, you heard it, now. You know why? Because it takes more energy and effort to try and remember that 2-minute task, to write it down, to document it, to put it on a list, and then to recall it 4 days later when you finally have a moment. So if you've got a task like that on your mind, hit pause on this podcast and do it. Then come back, obviously. I promise I'll still be here waiting for you. Now, it's a small step, and it feels like often an insignificant step, but trust me, it's transformative. You'll start noticing less clutter in your mind and on your to-do. The second thing is breaking down tasks. Now, all right, so you've taken care of all those 2-minute tasks. Fantastic. Now, let's talk about the bigger ones. You know, those tasks that are so huge, they scare you. And just thinking about them brings you, makes you concerned and worried. So here's a trick. Break them down. Get that list ready and start writing. But hold on. We're not jotting down massive tasks like building a new website. No, that's a project. What we need to do is break it down to the actionable next steps that we need to do from here to get us one step closer to that goal. So instead of writing build a new website, you might list research website design trends, sketch out basic layouts, write the about us, sort out our branding, sort out our messaging, and so on. The more detailed your list, the more manageable those tasks become. And the best part, every time you tick off a task, you're one step closer to that goal. Now, the third part, and this is the secret sauce, is the weekly reviews. Once a week, I want you to find a comfy spot, grab a cup of your favorite brew, and sit down with your list. Dedicate a solid 20 minutes to go through it item by item, updating it as needed. Cross off those tasks you've completed, and don't forget to give yourself a nice pat on the back. And add new ones that have come up, and make sure the list is as fresh and as current as possible. This weekly ritual might seem like a small thing, but it has a profound effect. Over time, your brain will start to trust that if a task goes on the list, it's going to get done. This trust frees your brain up from trying to remember all the things that it previously thought you were going to forget, and lets you focus on doing what you do best. And there you have it. 3 amazingly simple steps that can help you say goodbye to that hamster wheel once and for all. You'll find yourself with more free time, less mental clutter, and a much more efficient approach to your work. Plus, your metaphorical hamster paws will get a well-deserved rest. Now, there's a ton more gold to mine in the incredible book, but these are 3 simple hacks that you can do today. They're your ticket off this ceaseless spin cycle of that dreaded hamster wheel. They're your key to transforming into a hamster-free workplace. And I know you might be thinking, I've got bigger fish to fry. But hold on to your hamster hats, because these changes, these small, manageable changes, they're about to unlock your time, supercharge your productivity, and bring a sense of relief that you didn't even realize you were missing. No, these tweaks won't directly materialize customers or make money rain from the sky. But here's the magic. They will, without doubt, maximize your potential to attract customers, increase revenue, and yes, even tackle those bigger fish. So get ready. It's time to be less hamster. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Annoyingly Optimistic Show. Fingers crossed it's tickled your fancy with loads of insights, inspiration, and innovative ideas to address your business challenges with a wink and enthusiastic hop. Had a ball? Share this episode, sprinkle us with stars in a review, or get in touch to see how we can make your business dreams come true. For more goodies, visit worrylessmakemore.co.uk and get signed up for my Worry Less newsletter. Until next time, keep your worries light, your ambitions high, and your brilliance ever brighter.